All right, guys. So this section, I'm going to have Andrew Taylor on. I don't have a very specific title for it, but I just wanted to have Andrew on for a couple of reasons. First, in this business, I would say that Andrew has been the biggest between Andrew and a couple other people, but Andrew's probably been the most important mentor I've had in a lot of ways. And I don't even know if you fully know, like when I was just trying to figure out how to build a business, like John Wetmore taught me a lot about how to sell. And then I learned a lot about how to actually build and scale a business and the mentality behind it from you. And I literally was just trying to figure out what I was doing. And during COVID, we moved to Vegas, like 50% so I could get somewhere where there's no state income tax and 50% where I could get around you more, you know? Um, so I appreciate you and I've learned a ton from you. And I wanted to have you on, if you can, I want to go over a couple different things, but I think the first thing I wanted to go over was, kind of the perspective that you had as a new agent, understanding this was a business you're going to build for a long time. And look, we talked about a lot with you, what I talked about a lot with you early on was you talked about, when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad and just understanding like if you stayed really focused on this business, how much money you could make both selling and building. Like just kind
Mhm.
of your overall perspective, how you look at insurance, why you put so much of your life, like literally the last, what, 15 years or something like that into it?
10
Like why
years.
you've put so much into it, why you believe in it so much, as opposed to getting distracted and going like, you're like, I'm just gonna do life insurance. You were never the person that was like, I'm gonna do, real estate and, do all these other different things. You're like, no, I'm gonna get really focused on this one thing. And I think let's start there, dude, and we'll go back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. So, thanks for having me on. A lot of you guys on this. I was telling Zach, the company was built based on the synergy of a lot of people, and without everybody together, I don't think it would have worked as the way it did and the way it's working now. Um,
Mhm.
but so, thank you for having me on. Um, just to kind of rewind a little bit. So I don't know, what phase you are in business, but let's say you're new. When I was brand new, I had a very simple goal, like extremely simple, because I was working at the grocery store. And my goal was to be able to make one sale a month. And I would make the same amount that I did at the grocery store. So, and I was kind of shy. I wasn't shy, but I wasn't really outgoing. Like people wouldn't go, that guy's going to sell a bunch of insurance ever. I would be the last person they picked in the room for that. So I thought, hey, this could be pretty bad. Like I could be pretty bad, but if I could make one sale a month, then I could make the same amount making $8.50 an hour. And something interesting happened at the grocery store. So I always wanted to make money so I could control my own schedule. It was never about having like more stuff or flashy stuff or anything like that. It was just, hey, one day when I have kids, which I do now, I want to be able to spend time with them. I want to be able to do the things I want to do. I want to be them to do what they want to do. So that was my goal. It was never about having a nice car or a big house. It was just about buying time back. But a checker at the grocery store, Ricardo, he gave me a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, while I was working there, and it talked about buying, like, instead of, if I had $80,000, if I ever saved that up, instead of buying a Porsche, buy a house, and then that house would pay me a few $100s a month in profit, and then use that profit to buy the Porsche. So that way I don't have to work to pay the bill of the Porsche, or opposed to, so basically instead of buying something, buy something that pays you, and then buy the thing you want with that money. Um, and I loved real estate for multiple reasons. One, I didn't really like talking to people that much, and real estate doesn't really talk to you. I mean, unless you have you're dealing with tenants or something. Um, but my goal was to make money in insurance to buy real estate. And I think it's always really cool if you have a vehicle like this one that can fund what you're passionate about. and maybe it'll be this that you're passionate about, but this is a really good vehicle to do that. Now, Zach, a lot of people would be like, oh, I would tell people my closing ratio because I wasn't really good at in the beginning. I would close about 25% of my sales, and people would be like, dude, that's awful. But I would just run more appointments to keep up with the top producers. Like I would run double the amount of appointments to keep up with them. And then I started to get good, and I started to be able to read people, just like the tone of their voice. I could tell what they were going to do, and I could stop an objection from coming before I even get it. And I started to realize, oh, I'm getting better. Then we looked back at my appointments. I ran 10,000 appointments. So think about how many appointments that is. Like we went through my schedule, 35 appointments a week, every single week, 10 years straight. And it's like, oh, no wonder you're getting better at doing this. But something interesting happened. I started to fall into the rat race, like the book said not to. So even though I was making more money, I was spending more money. And then I was like on January 1st, I'd be like, oh, I have to do this again to pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
Do this again. All that work I did, I have to do again. So I'm like, oh shoot, I'm falling in the rat race. So I started to look at real estate a little bit, and I would save money to buy a real estate property. And my math would always be like this. It'd be like, okay, if I could spend 100K on a property, I would try to get like 1% return on that per year. So if I could spend 100K, then I would try to get like 10,000 per year off that property. Now that could be the down payment. It could be if you could find a place that was that cheap. It could be whatever it was, but that was my magical formula. That was so, that I used. And I worked hard, save money, go buy real estate. And then one day I was like, looking at the insurance industry, the 2 million people, I'm in insurance, building a small team, but not really passionate about it. And I'm like, dude, if I hire one agent with a 10% spread and I can teach them to sell 10 policies a month, I'm going to make the same amount of money per month as I would on that 100K property, but I don't need 100K to do it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in real estate, people call this, how many doors do you have? I started to think, well, if I have agents, could I look at them as doors? If I recruit agents to sell and I get an override for training them, that could be considered a door. Now, there was one thing that was interesting. Like you have to go through like 10 people that start selling to find one legit one. At least I did. So I just needed to know the numbers so I didn't get frustrated. But when everything's all said and done, was it worth 10 people to create that cash flow? And sometimes it could be more. Like if you find you or a Grady or someone, then it's like those numbers are absolutely insane. So what I started to do, Zach, is I'm like, okay, let's run a real company now. So instead of me selling insurance, let's turn this into a real company. How does that look, and what should the expectations be? So that looks like recruiting people, teaching them to do the same thing, helping them get paid, me selling and leading the way. So people are like, yo, this guy's every single week, holidays, weekends, everything. He's out there selling with us. He's in the trenches with us. And then reinvesting that money into some type of recruiting. And this is how simple this formula was, Zach. Check this out. So I got to the point where I spent $1,000 a month on ads. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what my goal was? To get one agent to write 20 policies a month. You know how many agents I wanted to get that per year?
As long as you got probably one, you were fine with it.
If I got one for the whole year. So if I got one for the whole year, that would get paid for. But the next year, I still had that one. So I started to go, oh, let's run a real company. Let's spend money. Let's go all in. Let's do all these different things in an industry Now, the other kicker was this, dude. There's so many people that are in the industry already and they're at low comp or they don't use leads or they don't have the right fit. So I'm like, dude, this is easy. And then what I learned, dude, is people follow you when you have like this burning desire to win and not fail because it's contagious.
Mhm.
So everything we do is contagious, but dude, we want to be around, we want to do hard things because it makes us feel good when we achieve them, right?
Yep.
Um, so
Dude,
I
one thing I wanted to ask you real quick on that, the hard things thing, is a lot of people, it seems like recently, like it's not our company, like a culture thing, like a social media thing you see is a lot of people are like work smarter, not harder. And like you want to do the least amount and basically do as little work as possible, right? I don't know if you've seen that. I just feel like I've seen more of that and it's like
I've seen it,
anti-hustle culture.
I've seen it, but I've never seen it work.
I've never seen it work. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask you is like you're talking about like working on holidays and stuff like that. Like another thing I took from you that like, dude, I literally like pretty much live by this principle that you taught me. Where you were like, if most people don't want to do it, then I do it because I know most people won't do it. And like
Bro,
you said that one time on a call, and I was like, holy, like that, like I started like thinking about every time I came across something I didn't want to do. I was like, oh, everyone else feels that way. So if I do it, I'll be that far ahead. Like you, and just so the people who don't know this, Andrew's company, FFL USA, is like 46% of FFL. Like you're the biggest agency and it's not remotely close. But when I started, you were not. Like there was an agency that was twice the size of you, I think, in 2018. Actually, maybe 3 or 4 times the size of you. So how do you think like that mentality that you took where you were like, I just want to do extra and like work like everyone else is saying, like just work smart and enjoy time with your family, all that stuff, which is important. But you were like, dude, I'm gonna do all this extra stuff. Like, how much did that play into you blowing up to being so much bigger than everyone else, do you think?
well, one, anytime you do that and you don't share it, you're losing money. So I
Yeah.
would, I'm big on doing stuff and then sharing it. So, dude, and I always say this, like, if you're on this call, if you want to make this work, you have to have a burning desire to change your situation. And if you don't have it, then it's just going to fizzle out. But let
Hmm.
me give you some examples of what that is. Okay. And I'm going to tell you guys some real stories. So 9:15 p.m. I'm 25 years old. I'm calling leads still at 9:15 because I don't have my appointment goal. Now, I don't even know if you're allowed to do that, right? But people filled out the form and I'm like, yo, one day when they die, they're going to thank me. Their family's going to thank me that I stayed up and made this call at 9:15 p.m. And this lady answers. She's like, um, I get home every single night at 9:15 p.m. and I'm a nurse. Okay. Now, dude, I'm barely making it. Like
Hmm.
I'm paying my lead bill and paying my bills and like starting over from zero every single week. And so, dude, I go to the appointment. Okay. Now we didn't do Zoom. So this was 2.5 hours into LA, one appointment, driving. A lot of time to and dude, I recently went on a long drive and I listened to podcasts and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I actually miss this. Like,
Yeah, me too.
dude, there's so much time to listen, think, and I would just listen to sales training all day long. But I get to the place, lady buys a policy, $200 a month, huge deal for me. Okay. When I'm leaving, she's like, hey, I'm retiring and I have to do something with my 401k. There's $1 million on her statement on the counter. Okay. I go, can I come back tomorrow and give you the information? She's like, sure. Dude, I go back, I call AMS team, and I'm like, I need an illustration. I need you to tell me what to say. I need you to tell me how to pitch this, everything. I go back, dude, I write a $1 million annuity Okay. And this was like me getting beat up all week, still on the phone, super late. And this is, I'm going to say this because this is a closed call, right?
Mhm.
Is this going on YouTube?
Not anymore. It's not.
All right. So, dude, they were doing like a promo on commissions because they wanted more. The Athene was trying to get more business. Dude, they gave me a deposit, one check for 96 G's. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, dude, that's after hundreds of no's, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of no's. Okay. Calling late, getting no showed in the hood, what, dude, you name it.
Hmm.
Another week,
Traveling across the country to sell.
traveling across the country to sell. And now, dude, those things are the best things that, um, like those trips are the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave me that grit,
Hmm.
really, really work and really, really focus.
Yeah.
Another week, calling all day and night. I went to San Diego, California. This is like a 3-hour drive. I booked, I think, like 17 appointments to go see people. Dude, I'm at zero at 17th appointment, 8 p.m. The last day there, I'm at zero. Zero. Everyone told me no, or they just no showed me. I
Hmm.
go knock on this lady's door, an internet lead that had just come in. And I'm like, dude, I'm just going to go knock on her door instead of call her. Cause like I got notified this lead came in. Uh, I go knock on her door. She's leaving her house. And I'm like, yo, most people would not go stop this lady's car, like pulling out of the driveway. Cause I was walking up. Like, this is so uncomfortable. I go knock on her window. She's like, "Oh yeah, I need that." Pulls her car back in the driveway. Go in. It's like a 1,800 a month premium. She's a brain surgeon, and like this is what I want. This is what I need. Done, done, done. Thank you for coming over. Like, dude, all these things that happened that were good, they happened when they like things weren't going good, but I kept going. And I could
Yeah.
tell you those stories all day long. Like, and I'm sure
So,
you have a million of them.
dude, 100%. And I was, you said like when you were just barely making it, right? And I remember when I was a new agent, I would call, I would call Wetmore a lot when I started to build a business and was just new and I was selling a lot, but I was keeping like no money. It was going out, right? Like it was going out faster than it was coming in, probably. And I remember calling him and going like, is this normal? Like I'm working really hard. I was working probably 60, 70 hours a week, right? Maybe 80 hours some week, traveling all across, flying across the country. I'm like, dude, is this normal? And he was like, yes, just be patient, give it time, and make sure you're actually doing what you can to get better. And it will turn around as you get better, as long as you keep your activity the same. And I remember one day just go like over like a 3 month period, going from having like no money in my bank account and negative on my credit card to like literally over like a 6 month period, then having like multiple six figures because I just kept doing the same stuff and I finally figured it out a little bit. And so like I guess I wanted to ask you like a most people, and again you have a lot more experience with agent study, but most people do not come in and just crush it right away unless they have experience. Is it pretty normal for people just to feel like they're just barely making it and then just like kind of one day like a light switch, just boom, all of a sudden then they get better?
Dude, my uncle Jimmy is here right now in the office.
Who's like my favorite person in the world, dude. He's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's crazy.
He's the best.
But he checked this out. So he had month after month of like 5K, 6K, 5K, 6K. And then finally, dude, he broke 35K for a month. And now he's like, dude, now that I did it once, I'm just confident I can do it again. And he has his little formula, his routine he sticks to, but he starts at 6 in the morning. He's like, dude, if I don't start early, I don't win. And he starts his appointments on the East Coast at 6 in the morning.
It's awesome.
But yeah, dude, Jack, you said it, and he's like, one day it's like the monkey's off your back. It's like, but I don't know. I also have like, I remember like just a few years ago thinking like, does this still work?
Yeah, you have different problems as you get bigger, right? And you have to deal with different things. Well, dude, one thing you mentioned confidence with Jimmy, right? And like for perspective, I was telling you this when we talked the other day. I went to a wedding the other weekend and saw a bunch of people I hadn't seen in a long time. And one of them was like, "Man, you seem so different than when we were in college together. Like just have a different, you just carry yourself differently." Which I'm like, well, that's good because I was a complete idiot in college. So I hope I'm a little bit different. He's like, you just seem more confident, but not in like a complete asshole type of way. And I was like, I guess it's a good compliment. Like it's a half compliment. But I was thinking about that. I'm like, dude, I think that how you get confident in this business is all I know how to do. But you just keep doing it. And then as you eventually get better, you feel good about it. And then you're confident, right? Like you just keep selling enough until you get better. And you just keep recruiting enough until you get better. And I think like if you just do something and go through the process of sucking and getting better, I think it's really good for your self-esteem, right? So everyone
Dude,
on here who doesn't feel confident, like, dude, I was so like unconfident and like even embarrassed in what I was doing when I started.
bro,
I didn't even tell my parents for 6 months.
I was a secret agent.
I was a secret agent too. Yeah. And I think that I just got more confident just from stacking up little wins. And like, dude, little wins like booking an appointment, not getting hung up on, not getting no shown, you know? But
Yeah,
for
dude, the
me,
other,
dude, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the thing that helped me with that was having non-negotiables in my schedule that were easy to hit. So like I would, and like a lot of people go like, I want to hit Hall of Fame. Like I was so bad in the beginning. I was like, I just want to book 10 appointments my first week. And it was attainable and I did it and kept moving the bar up as I got a little bit better. But I was gonna ask what are some things you've done, talking to newer agents or agents who are on here, like I'm not performing my best, but I really am actually willing to do it. I just am not confident. What are some things they can do to
Yeah.
build up
Well,
that?
for one, your heart's got to be in the right place, and you don't want to learn the hard way like I did. Um, but this is what happened to me. So Zach, I wouldn't talk to people I knew about insurance.
Hmm.
I was like too proud. It's actually very strange. Um, and a friend of mine's dad goes, "Hey, I need insurance." And I didn't close him. I was just like, "Yeah, I'll send you some information." Like text over some information, like whatever, right? But he was saying I need insurance. And then a couple months go by and Christmas he ends up dying. Let's just heart
Hmm.
attack, dies. Okay. No insurance. Zip. I go to the funeral and the family's struggling and they have this financial burden. And I'm just like, dude, I was so worried about what people would think about me that I didn't do the right thing and like help someone else. And then that day I was like, dude, I don't care what people think. Like, I'm going to tell everybody about this. You get all your money back. It's the best thing ever. And I started to get a lot more confident talking to people because I believed in it so much. And I
Hmm.
put a picture of that person and the few people in my life that had passed away on my desk. Well, actually, I also carried a little folder around with me everywhere that had my work stuff in it, and I had their pictures in there. And that just reminded me when I'm calling somebody that I'm not bothering them, that I'm helping them, because I would always revert back to I'm going to bug this person. I'm going to bug this person. I'm going to bug this person. And then the other crazy thing, dude, I don't think I told you this, Zach. So when I was a kid, my dad died, and my mom had no job, no life insurance, no money. Okay. So she got financial aid, which is like 800 bucks or something um, per kid to help take care of the kids from the government. But now my mom's a beast. So she ended up getting two jobs and like she's awesome. But shortly after that, and I remember this, which is weird, there's a dude over at the house going through a bunch of papers with my mom. and it was a life insurance guy, and she was getting a policy through AIG for like $20 a month in case something happened to her, that there was some money left for us to help raise us. And I'm like, dude, think about how insane that is.
Crazy.
So like if you really think about the value of what we're selling, it sometimes you got to look in the mirror and be like, why am I not closing people? And back to thinking about yourself, dude, I identified this early on. Like when I was calling people, I would be worried about what I sound like on the phone. Do you see a problem with that?
Yeah. Because it's not about
Instead
you.
of, instead, it's not about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when everything's about you, you're not closing anybody,
Right.
you know? And so I'm like, dude, what I'm not even paying attention to what they're telling me because I'm more worried about how I sound. And then I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm willing to even push all of a sudden to get deals because I know it's good for them. And then
Yeah.
one time I was like,
Like just pretending like you know that something's gonna happen to them.
well,
Like
something is.
something they're going to die at some point. If you knew it was tomorrow, what would you say to get them to do it?
Exactly. Would you let them off?
And you can't tell them it's tomorrow, but like how much would you push if you knew they were gonna die tomorrow and you couldn't tell them you knew?
A lot. So I started pushing, dude, and I had this rule. I go, dude, I'm willing for them to get mad at me for me to try to help them.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing for them to get mad at me.
And you can do it in a respectful way where they're not throwing you out of the house, but there's some tension, right?
Dude, or even on the phone, man.
Yeah.
You can challenge people over the phone.
It's like in Talladega Nights where they're like, as long as you say it with all due respect, you can say whatever you want, right? So the last thing I wanted to ask you, because we'll wrap up with this, is like there's in business, but specifically in our business, we get paid really well, especially if you're managing and building a team, because there's a decent amount of risk. That's why the pay is the way it is, right? Um, and so with there being some risk, bad stuff is going to happen, right? Like even if you're just an agent, you're gonna have chargebacks, you're gonna have lead orders that don't work out. If you're a manager, you're gonna have roll up debt, like stuff happens. But if you're willing to deal with that, again, like 99% of people won't, the 1% will get paid really crazy. What I wanted to ask you was, when you decide you're going to just deal with something crappy that happens, what are some things that you've done, or maybe some frameworks you have to not get overly emotional and let your emotions cloud your judgment when something bad happens? Like, how do you deal
Well,
with that without
for
making
one,
emotional decisions?
it's like a muscle. So the more that things happen, the stronger you are. So you're building your muscle over things. And dude, these aren't bad things. Bad things are you get cancer, you get hit by a truck, something
Yeah.
happens to a family member. These are not bad things. These are just things that are part of business. And dude, the best thing that Sean ever did for me, Sean Mike, was I was complaining to him in my air conditioned car. Okay.
Hmm.
Eating food, which I shouldn't have been eating because I definitely was not working out then and I was not eating good.
Yeah.
Eating food that I shouldn't have been eating with my AC on, with my nice new shirt on that I bought, with my computer, and I was complaining to him how I got no showed and how mad I was because my day was going so bad. And he was like, dude, have some respect for yourself. People, this was a long time ago, bro. This was when Haiti got hit by a hurricane and got destroyed. And he
Hmm.
was like, dude, people are looking for their families under rocks right now. And he was like, you're complaining about somebody not being home. I was like, bro, that is true. So it's all about your perspective. This whole thing is about your perspective. So if you can keep that perspective, you're not going to get mad if you get a chargeback or something happens. The other thing is in Think and Grow Rich, I read a long time ago, every bad thing that happens, there's an opportunity for an equal amount of good. So if it's
Hmm.
really bad, there's an opportunity for an equal amount of good. somewhere if you find it and you work for it. So I sold myself on whatever thing that happens that is not going my way. I'm going to find the equal opportunity of good in that thing. And I want to give you an example of that. I had a client I had a $27,000 commission, which was huge. I had already spent the money before it hit my account.
Yep. Well done that.
Okay. So then the lady called and says, Jackie from AAA told me this is a scam and I want to cancel it. Okay. So Jackie from AAA was stealing my policy. So I got a $27,000 chargeback because of Jackie from AAA.
Okay.
Bro, I literally was like whimpering in my sleep thinking about it. I was so upset about it. And then I was like, okay, what good is going to happen? So I went back to the client. I think I counted how many times I went back to the client because I wanted to save the deal. I went back 13 times, dude. That has to be a record.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a few months later, I ended up saving the deal, which was cool.
Yeah.
So I got my commission back because Jackie from AAA was lying. But that wasn't the good part about it, dude. The good part was there was no chargeback that was going to cripple me.
Yeah.
So like when I got the small ones, I didn't feel them anymore. And I was more confident when I went to go save them because there was no emotion behind it. It was just logic. So I would call every chargeback I got. I would call them back and I would try to save the deal. And like 50% of the time, roughly, I would end up saving the person that canceled because I called them back and went through everything, adjusted it, changed it, lowered it, whatever it was. But I had no more emotion there. So I always tell everybody that was the best chargeback I ever got.
Yeah.
So whatever it is,
Just
learn
deal
from
with, that's a very very stoic way of looking at it, right? It's like either something happens, it's not good or bad. It's either you can learn from it, and if you can't learn anything from it, you can't do anything about it, just move on because you can't do anything about it, right? Just keep moving
yeah.
forward. So I appreciate, and that's helped me a lot too, dealing with things. I was telling you the other day, like if I'm angry about something, because I'll get fired up about stuff sometimes, as you know. Like, dude, I won't call the person or do anything rash until I'm no longer angry, which has saved me a lot in relationships and business. Because I'll say something off the wall to someone in a second if I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
So like thinking like how you think about stuff has helped me a ton. But I appreciate it, dude. This has been super valuable, and I appreciate your insight and
Yeah,
mentorship
dude.
as always,
Thanks
man.
for having me. See you guys.
No doubt.